All right. It's Friday today. Everyone's doing well this morning. Got some big plans for the weekend. I'm going to a family get-together across the state, so it'll be a busy day for me. I'm also working a little bit here, so might get interrupted a time or two, but I'll do my best to stay focused on the stream here. Plan for today is to open up a new trade in XSP. That's the mini SPX. The Jim Olsen poor man's covered put. It's been pretty popular on the Facebook page and Jim's Twitter as well. So figured I'd go through it. I'd open it up in XSP since that's a much smaller product. It's 1/10 the size of SPX. Market hasn't been too happy the last couple days, but I think that's a little bit overdue. I was glad that there's a little bit of a pullback here. A little extreme, but that's trading for you. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the chat. I'll do my best to get to all of them. Just have to be a subscriber. Don't have to be a member, just a subscriber to chat. Before the market opens here, I'll go over. I've done this trade in the ES. I put it on a couple days ago, just so you can see how it's doing. The ES is half the size of SPX. So up here is my short put. This is the order chain here on tastytrade. I like it a lot. They just recently used or added futures to this, which is really nice. So here's my initial trade back on the 16th, so 3 days ago. I've rolled it each day, one further out duration. And then yesterday I couldn't roll for the credit and drop it down, so I added a 5 short call spreads. So I rolled it. I started with the 56.70 put. And I rolled it up to the 56.75. It looks like I'm just looking now. It looks like I rolled it out into the wrong strike a couple times, but that's all right. So I've gained a total of 1915, and that's points. So at ES, the multiplier is 50 instead of 100. So that's instead of $1,900, it's half that, so $950 and change. So you can see overall on the short put, I'm down 3,800, call it. And on the long put, which is the 6250 put, 518 days out, I'm up 2600. So overall, down about 1200 on that trade over the last 3 days. Before yesterday, I was up on it, but yesterday's continued big down move hurt it, and in the long run, I'll be all right because that spread is, or that long put is way deep in the money, but the delta is less than the short put, so that's why we're showing such a big loss. It's because the short put is losing more than the long put is gaining because of the delta difference. So that one's on ES. That one I put on /ES. I'm going to open one up in XSP today. ES isn't as good as SPX or even arguably XSP, because the ES is American style and the SPX is European style. So the European style options you can't exercise early. So the main advantage of that is, and we'll take a look at it. So we'll go into ES here, and we'll just go out to the longest DTE. I have a theta column here, and essentially what the goal is to buy a long put that has minimum theta decay against it. So you can see here in the ES, all of these are negative, so all these will decay over time, and that's because you could buy the put, exercise it immediately, and then buy back the short. So there's no arbitrage there. You know, you can't do that. But if we go to SPX, we go to the furthest DTE. Actually, we'll go to the 2027. I think they just added these, but potentially, actually, I don't think they did. We'll go to this longest one, but you can see the theta, it's negative, so there's theta decay, but then once you get to the 5900 strike here, it's actually positive. So that means that over time, this option will basically stay the same or increase in price. So the further you go into the money, the larger your theta. So this is what Jim was talking about, where it's you're getting it for a discount. So if you're doing this in SPX and going out 1980 days, anything that's above the 5900 strike is in play for that long put. But if we go into here, you can see that the buying power is 65,000. So that's quite a bit for a lot of people, especially if you're just starting out and just want to do a starter trade. So instead of SPX, we could do XSP. XSP. Now, this one's a little bit tougher because it's 1/10 the size. So the fees and commissions will eat up a little bit more into the trade, but that's all right. There's also less strikes, less options. So it's not as ideal, but it's still a European style. And that means that we'll have that theta decay, that positive, that'll increase the price of the option as time goes on. And that's all else being equal. That's if the market stays flat and the volatility stays flat. Someone pointed out on Facebook, and it's a good point. You know, I'm going to open up this trade now, but it may or may not be a good time because of the pop in VIX over the last couple days. So when you're buying a long option, obviously you want the the VIX to be lower. So it's popped up quite a bit. We were in that 12 to 13 range, and now we're up to 16. So we are susceptible a little bit to the vol crush if the VIX does come down. But I'm just going to put it on now. You know, the VIX could go higher. The median, I feel like, is around that 13 mark. So, you know, over time there probably will be a vol crush, but there's so much time that you know, I'm not too worried about it. Morning, Mike. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. So we'll go into XSP here and we'll open up this trade, and then if we have time, I'll open up my 0 DTE iron condor for you guys as well. So I'll just change the chart back to 1 minute for today, and I'll use that for my iron condor. Don't really need it for this one here though, but so for the long option, you want to do at least a leap, and a leap is 1 to 3-ish years, generally speaking. So I wouldn't go anything less than the July 18th of 25, and you could go all the way up to the June 18th. It doesn't matter too much. I'm also looking at the implied volatility of all of these. I see it as 15.8%. I'm curious why that's lower than the other two, but that could be an advantage of opening this in here. So we'll take a look at this one here. So for this August 15th of next year, to get that positive theta, we want to go down to at least the 600 strike. So if we do that, that's $4,000 in buying power. So we'll start with that and we'll compare it. So that one's 4,300. It's a 600 strike. If we go to the December of next year and scroll down, positive theta is at 610. So you gotta go 10 points further away, and it's 5,000. So it's an extra 800 bucks. A little bit further out, $10 further out. So either of these, I think, would be an option to do. For this one, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do the August 15th. Come in here. So anything above the 600 strike is in play, and really, the higher you go, the more in the money you'll be, the better your positive theta will be. So, you know, if you want to have a little bit more conservative of a long put, you know, maybe you go up here. The takeaway is the extra buying power. So up to you. I'll probably go to the 620 just so there's a little bit more of that positive theta. 5,400 bucks for that one. And we'll want to make sure that over time, this is our net debit. We'll want, wherever we sell our short put against this, we'll want to make sure that we're staying at least 54 points away from the 620 strike. And ideally, you know, I'll walk through that a little bit why here in the future. So we'll go ahead and we will buy that guy. So that one got filled there. And then we'll go into XSP again. And Jim likes to sell the 1 DTE instead of the 0 DTE. So since today's Friday, Monday is the first one. So we'll open this up now, and then at the end of the day, we'll roll it to Tuesday. And he's selling the 20 to 30 delta. So here he might sell the 551. And I had mentioned before that 54, the debit of 54. So we'll want to make sure, and I'll pull up the calculator so everyone can see what I'm doing here. So we'll want to stay at least 54 points away from the 620. So if we go 620 and we subtract 54, we want to be at the 566 strike or below. And the reason being is this is you can kind of think of it as a long put spread. So in this case, if you have the 620 long put and the 551 short put, then you're 69 points wide. So if this were to expire, you know, if this was all one duration, you would have $6,900 in total profit potential against this 54. So you would make $1,500 if you just rolled this for 0 credit forever and ever until your long put expiration. You would make $1,500. So as you sell the short puts against this, you can subtract those credits against this debit, and then that will bring the strike up or closer to the long put. So over time, you're selling the short put to do a cost basis reduction and really get closer to the 620 put and maximize your profit potential if the market drops later on. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, leave a question. I can go into that further. But we'll go into that. Markets popped up a little bit, so 20 to 30 delta, somewhere in that range. I'm just gonna go to the 552 just because it's about $1 in credit. Now XSP is a little bit wider than SPX. SPX is a nickel wide ish, but that's 10 cent or 10 times bigger, so it'd be like half a penny here. But here we're right now we're at 10 cents wide, so it's really not that great, but it is what it is. So just kind of waiting a little bit here. I was hoping to get at least $1 for this short put, but yeah, we'll just go there. Lock in 125 to start with. There we go, got filled. So now this 125 credit will go against our 54 debit. So our new net debit will be 52.75. So when we roll, we'll want to stay $52 away from the 620, ideally. And this is 392 days, so we have plenty of time to keep rolling this. And what I'll do is the last 1 to 2 hours of the day, I'll try to roll this out and roll this down a strike. So we'll try that. So if I were to do that right now, so we're at the 553. If we went to the 552, I'd get a 11 cents credit about. So we'll see what it is at the end of the day. If the market drops and we go into the money, we might have to do this for a debit, or you go to the same strike and hopefully it's for a credit. If you get too far into the money, it might not be, but even if you get pretty far into the money, it'll still be for a credit. So that's really the game you're playing here. It's you might show losses in the short term just because this might be a bigger delta if it really drops, and that's what happened the last couple days. the market just dropped too fast, so our short put is losing more money than our long put is gaining. But in the long run, if you keep rolling that for a credit the next 500 days, then we'll be just fine. So yeah, look at it in the long term, not just a day-to-day thing. So really interesting trade here, but I like it. So I got one in ES and now one in XSP, and with that, I don't see any questions in the chat. Hopefully I explained that pretty well. If you have questions on that, drop them in the comments. Until then, I will open up probably just a few of the 0 DTE iron condors that I like to do. I've been on a losing streak a little bit. I think I've been profitable one day in the last 6 trading days on it. So follow at your own risk. But I think before that I had like a 11-day win streak or something like that, 12-day win streak. So overall for the year I'm still positive on it, so can't really complain too much. But so this one today is actually the monthly expiration, so there's an AM settlement which already occurred, so that's in the past. So even though it says 0 DTE, you can't trade it. So we'll go to the PM settlement here. That'll settle at 3 o'clock. I see the market's coming back down a little bit. Yeah, so it's popped and dropped a little bit. Don't know what today is gonna bring. And I'll be traveling this afternoon, so I'm just gonna trade smaller today. Yeah, Mike, I was winning until you brought it up. So you're the reason. So you owe me some money, I think. So I'm gonna go in here and I will try selling 54.80. It's a 7 delta. It's getting $1.50. I like to buy the 5-cent, 10-cent bid ask. That's gonna be really wide. So is what it is today. The market's dropped quite a bit the last couple of days. A lot of volatility right now. VIX is up in the 16 handle. I like that. So I'll try that. And then the call side, I'll go the 6 delta here for 110. Try doing that here. I feel on the call side. Put side. Work it a little bit here. There we go. So go into history here. So this is where you can see what you sold your individual sides on. I always put the credit, or I always put the stop based on the credit receipt on the actual short, not the spread. So for the call, I'm going to times that by 3. That's 336 round up. So I'll put this for 340. So on the call side, I'll do a 340 stop. And I do a stop market now. CBOE added some protections on their drill through protection. So, I'm okay with the stop market instead of a stop limit. 147 times 3, 441. I'm going to round up to the nearest dime. So 450. I'll put that on. And today I'm just gonna do one more, I think. Since I'm traveling, don't want to be thinking about this too much, so we'll do that. This one we'll go up to the 8 delta, do that again. Find the 5 cent 10 cent long, so a lot wider now that the VIX is up a little bit. Gonna replace this one. I'm gonna go up one more to the 9 delta. Living on the edge today, I guess. So it's gonna work it a little bit. There we go. So we're gonna go into history. So on the call side, 145 times by 3 is 435. Round up to the nearest dime, so 440 on that. Then on the put side, 185. That guy 555, so 560. And we'll do that here. So that's that. Regarding a poor man's covered put, could you please just go over what you do if there is a crash right after you start? So, yeah, I'll go back to my ES example because I put that on. Went to my order chain here, which is the tastytrade thing, but I put this on back on the morning of the 16th. If we take a look here at the daily, last couple days. So the 16th, you know, we were up here. So, you know, we were near the 5,700 mark when I put this on. We're down below the 5,600. So this is a pretty good example of the drop. So really what I'm doing is I'm trying to roll my short puts out one day and going $5 down, one strike down is really what I'm trying to do. And really I'm just trying to collect credits and reduce my cost basis. And I showed this earlier in the stream, but right now on my short put rolls, I've collected 19 points in credit. This is ES, so it's a 50 multiplier instead of 100. So $950, give or take, in credit. I'm showing a P&L of negative 3,600, 3,500, 3,400 right now. Yesterday I couldn't roll this for a net credit, so what I did was I went from the 5680 to the 5675, and I also sold 5 call spreads at that same strike against it, just to get that for a credit. So I got a $1.50 credit, or 1.5 point credit, sorry, not $1.50, because it's ES, so it's a 50 point or a 50 multiplier. So futures you talk about in points, so a little bit different. But long put, I am up $2,400 against my 537 net debit. So if you're doing this in XSP or SPX, I'll go over that again. So with XSP, so we sold the 620 put and we got a 54 debit. So that puts our break even 620 minus 54, yeah, at 566. So as long as SP or you sell a put below the 566, if everything expired together, or if you rolled forever for a net 0 credit or net 0 debit, then you will make money in the end in a crash. So as long as you're selling, you end up selling over the long term below the 566 strike, then you're all right. So here we have the 553 strike. So 553 minus the 566, that's $13. So if this were to expire today, if you think about this being the same duration, we would make 1,300 bucks. So, you know, this is, over the long term, it's a bearish position. You might show a loss, you know, in the short term because we're selling one DTE, but you know, over the long term, is, you gotta think of it as a pair, and we're doing just fine then. So hey, you followed me in, you're already down 40 bucks on this trade, so I am pretty good, I'd say. That's what I got. Happy Friday. If you guys have any questions, you can always email me at incomeoptionstrading@gmail.com. And appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hopefully this helped give you some confidence here, and hopefully the market plans out a little bit and this trade is a little bit more profitable for you guys. So all right, thanks for watching.